Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Crissy and this is my cozy corner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing another 24-hour readathon to try and attempt to knock off some books on my September TBR. I did a video where I picked 7 prompts out of a TBR jar and 7 different books, and I've only read 2 this month, and the last day of the month is on Monday. So today is Sunday, September 29th, and it is 4:08 in the morning. So yeah, and then in this video I'm also going to do my September reading wrap up. So the 2 books that I read along with all the books that I finished in this 24-hour readathon. So we're gonna go to the living room, I'm gonna make some coffee, and I'm gonna show you the first book that I'm gonna read. So let's go ahead and head over there. Okay, so here are the books that I have left on my September TBR. Now, I don't think I will make it to a light in the flame because this one is chunky. So my goal is going to be, I'm going to start with a Dowry of Blood because I did start it last night and I'm about 50 pages in. And I have A Fate Inked in Blood, The Winter's Curse, and Love on the Brain. So like I said, I'm going to focus on these 4, but if I only get 3 of them read, I will be happy with that. So we will be starting 4/25, and it is September 29th. I'm going to set a timer and just let it run even when I stop to eat. I'm not going to be pausing it. So we're going to get started with A Dowry of Blood. Like I said, I'm about 50 pages into this one right now, and we will hit start and just let this puppy run the whole time. I really like the way this is written. It is written in first person, which I've read a lot of books written in first person, but something about this one, I'm able to jump right in the main character's head. I really feel like I'm her, more so than like other books, so I'm really excited about that. But I did want to like stop and pause to show you. If you're a Throne of Glass fan, then you'll love this. But my Rowan blanket, look how handsome. I think I've shown y'all this on my channel at some point before. If not, then great. If yes, then here he is again. I really need a Dorian blanket because he's my favorite character. But anyways, I digress. I'm gonna get back into this and update you when I'm probably about halfway through with the book. Okay, so I'm at the halfway point in A Dowry of Blood. I wanted to come outside to try to catch the sunrise. I don't see any like colors in the sky, so I either miss that or it's just not gonna happen. Because at this point it would have happened by now if it was gonna happen, but I am still really liking it. So this is about Dracula and his first bride, Constanta, and he comes across her when she's basically on her deathbed and saves her and invites her into his life. They kind of move from country to country. It does say in the very beginning that he dies, so I'm trying to see like how we got to that point. But this book is supposed to be her telling about the lives that they live together. There's lots of trigger warnings, and I haven't come across too many of them so far, halfway, which is about like 150 pages. But I know I'm going to, and I can definitely see it going that way. There are some scandalous things that have happened, but nothing too bad. I'm really, really enjoying it. I can't wait to see like how exactly Dracula ends up dying and what exactly Constanta is going to uncover. But we're gonna go ahead and go back inside and continue this because the bird is very loud. But I was hoping to come out here and read and catch the sunrise, but that didn't happen, so I'm just gonna go back inside and get all comfy with my blanket. Okay, so I'm almost done with A Dowry of Blood. I have less than 100 pages left. I'm about to move into the bedroom because my husband did just get up. but I just wanted to point out this book has some of the best similes and metaphors. Here's a really good example. It says, the love he had for you was the cartographer's love for the sea, trembling and all-consuming and so far beyond the reaches of right or wrong. Far from shrinking from your bad moods, he welcomed them. Such, like, and they all make sense so well, but anyways, I'm gonna get back to reading. This shouldn't take me too much longer, and then I will update at the end. All right, just a little update. I finished a Dowry of Blood. I really liked it. It definitely wasn't what I expected when I started reading it. It moved really quickly. There's a lot of great quotes in here, a lot of good similes and metaphors that I just kept going, oh, that's a good one the whole time. But I'm gonna give my final thoughts and reviews at the end of this video. I still wanna sit on the book a little bit. Yeah, I'm definitely adding this to a fall book recommendations. It is perfect for October specifically. But anyway, we're gonna move on to the next book in this 24-hour readathon, which I'm not gonna even start till after lunch. I'm getting ready to eat lunch. But that's gonna be The Winner's Curse. This is supposed to be a young adult fantasy or romantasy. I don't see this one a lot in the book community. I thought I saw one person recommend it and they had said the same thing. They don't know why more people don't talk about it. It's so good. They said the romance is so delicious. But I picked this out of my TBR jar, prompt picks for September, and that prompt was a book in an old series you've never read before. So that was this one, and this one was a book with a black cover. So I am sticking to my September TBR over here. But we're gonna get started on this after lunch, and then I will update you after I've read at least a couple chapters. Ooh, I didn't know the underneath was so beautiful. Oh, it's signed. Our map. Okay, so I'm really liking The Winner's Curse so far, and I think last I updated, I said I believe it was a fantasy, a young adult fantasy, because that's what I was told, but it reads like a young adult fantasy, but there's no magical creatures or magical elements yet. It seems like it is gonna have like the politics that a lot of fantasy books have. I also really like how the chapters end because it's not necessarily a cliffhanger, but it does leave you wanting more and wanting to continue on with the story. So I'm gonna continue reading, and I think I'm gonna update about maybe a half day on The Winner's Curse. I'm almost done with it. Where has this series been my entire life? This is so good. I'm actually so mad that I cannot start the second book right away because I have other books I need to knock off in this TBR video because it is a trilogy. I'm hooked. We're gonna continue reading, and I will update you next when I'm finished to let you know if those thoughts still stand. I just finished The Winner's Curse, and I really, really like this one. I am going to give you all my thoughts tomorrow about it because I'm very tired. I have enough time, I think, for one more book, so I'm gonna try. And I was gonna do a Fate Inked in Blood, but I don't think I can read. I don't think I'm gonna finish this. Oh, it's a Norse mythology inspired fantasy, and I don't want to be reading it, but I'm like half tired, and then I'm gonna miss something. I want to read this when my like brain is fresh, so I figure just like something brainless, like a rom-com or something. So I'm gonna go with Love on the Brain. We're gonna get started on this. So I'm really sad I can't do this one, but there's just no way. I cannot lay like that because it's too comfortable and I'm falling asleep. But so far so good. I am happy to report that because, like I said, I didn't vibe with her other two books. So just making sure that was the page that I was on before I dropped the book. But yeah, so far so good. So I'm gonna keep reading and I'll update when I'm a little bit further into it. I'm about a quarter right now, so I'm liking it so far. So I made it with some time to spare. Thank goodness for this Coke because I feel like I was becoming immune to coffee. I had so much coffee today. We have made it at the 22 hours because I don't have enough time to start another book right now because I do have, I think, 2 more still left on my TBR, but can't do that in 2 hours. So just to show you, it is, that's a picture of my son, that's why I'm covering it, but 2:36 on, see, I don't even know what day it is because I'm so tired. Monday, September 30th, and I started Sunday, September 29th, I think at like 4:30 in the morning. So yeah, my brain is not firing on all cylinders right now. I don't think I loved this book right away. It was love on the brain. I think I liked it, but I'm too tired to really like contemplate how I felt about it. I just kept thinking how similar it felt to The Love Hypothesis, but there was something about it that I liked better. But I am going to think, I know the characters were so similar though. I know there was something else. There was a part that I didn't like about it, but I'm going to discuss this tomorrow when my brain is not mush. So welcome to my 24-hour readathon and September reading wrap-up. I'm doing them both in this video because for this video I was reading for 24 hours to try and knock off more September reads that I picked in my TBR jar. I'm gonna let you guys know right now I picked 7 out of the prompt jar and I did not get to 2, and that was a series I'm in the middle of, A Light in the Flame. I did not get to this one, and then the other prompt, I was gonna read it last night, but I was looking at the time. I think I had like 6.5 hours or something like that left, or 7. I can't remember the exact time, but I just know that I was not going to be able to read and comprehend this as tired as I was, and I want to be fully in because I'm so excited about this one, and I needed something a little bit more like mindless. But this was pick a book with sprayed edges, so that was this prompt. I did not get to this one, but I did get to the rest, which we will go over. So I am going to talk about first the 2 books I read in September before my readathon, and then after that I'm going to talk about the 3 that I read and completed during my readathon. The first book that I chose to read in September, the prompt had said pick a book by an author that you love but you haven't read that book yet, and that was The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This was probably one of my most anticipated reads because I love Leigh Bardugo so much. This is a standalone romantasy set in post-Inquisition Spain. This book is about Lucia, who is a Jewish woman who works as a maid for a family, and she has magic that she's hiding until one day she's trying to make her job a little easier. So she ends up using her magic, but her employer finds out. So then this leads her to being forced to show her magic to even more powerful people, and then she ends up on a journey to the king, who does a magical competition where he chooses his champion. While I love Leigh Bardugo and I enjoy that she has stepped out of her comfort zone with this one, because this was more of like a historical fiction fantasy, I felt overall the book was very slow for the first like more than half, and I am okay with a slow book. So for me to say that says a lot because I love intricate world building fantasies. The Fellowship of the Ring is one of my favorite books, the whole series is. And I still enjoyed that being a slow world building. This felt so slow, which led me to be kind of uninvested in the characters and the plot for a time being. My biggest thing is there was a lot that didn't happen, which was very different from some of the other books I read by her, specifically like Ninth House and Hellbent. I thought there was a ton of things happening and it kept my interest the whole time. And although I say that, the book did start to grow on me. I found the culturally rich atmosphere that Leigh Bardugo built very interesting and well written. I wasn't obsessed with the romance, but I did appreciate it because I found it very tender and sweet, and I really adored the ending of this book. I wouldn't say this book is spicy for a new adult, but there is a spice scene, but I would say it is more tasteful than anything in my opinion. I am giving it 3.5 stars, but I feel weird doing that because I feel like giving Leigh Bardugo anything under a 4 is so criminal, but this is just how I feel about it, and I gotta be honest with you guys and myself about the rating. This is not my favorite book by her, but I definitely appreciated it, and it did start to grow on me over halfway through, which most would think is too late, which it was, but I still, again, appreciate what she was trying to do here. The next book that I read in the month of September, the prompt jar pick, told me to pick a book with an author that starts with the letter K. So I picked Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. I was super excited about this one. This was another anticipated release for me because I liked the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy well enough, and I did become invested in the character Envy and Pride and all the side characters in that series, and this is a standalone romantasy, and Envy is the main character in this book. You don't have to read Kingdom of the Wicked to understand the world building in this book. It does make it easier, and you're already attached to the character before it happens, so I am glad that I did, but again, you don't have to. This is another new adult standalone romantasy centering around Envy, one of the 7 deadly princes of hell, and Camilla, and Envy has to enter into a game to try to get something that he needs. And one of the things that he needs is a painting from our main character, Camilla, but she's not so willing to do it for him. Camilla is a special painter. That's why he specifically needs the item from her. Now, something ends up happening to her where she has to work together with him and enter in the games with him so they can both get what they need. I love these characters so much. I never felt myself annoyed with any of them, and I already liked Envy from before when I read the Kingdom of the Wicked series, so I was already excited going into this. I thought the romance was written so well. I thought the plot was so good. The games were like so much fun. I think that Carrie Maniscalco has a strength in writing standalone romantasy or fantasy books because the pacing was so good, which I feel like parts of the Kingdom of the Wicked series, that's what suffered sometimes is pacing and plot holes, and I did not feel that way with this book. I would have given this book a 5 stars if it was not for like the insta-love aspect in the beginning. There is some insta-love that kind of got on my nerves, and I was like, oh no at first. So I'm giving this a 4.5, but I will say, after you kind of get over the insta-love, their romance is a slow growth as far as feelings go. So I highly recommend this one. Great September pick. These next 3 are books that I read during my 24-hour readathon. Because September was such a slow reading month for me, I'm a 3rd grade teacher, I just felt like I was tired from work all the time. And of course, starting this YouTube channel and filming, just trying to find a good balance there. The first one that I read in my 24-hour readathon was A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This was so good. This book is about Dracula and his consort, Constanta, and she's kind of writing her last love letter to him after his death. The book is written in first person, so you really get to step in her shoes and feel all the things that she was feeling, and it follows their relationship over hundreds of years. And of course that makes sense because they're vampires and they don't die. Well, until Dracula does, but it is polyamorous, so you do eventually see other characters that are brought into their relationship and the things that they also had to endure as well. As Constanta is writing this last letter to Dracula upon his death, she is remembering the obsession and unhealthy aspects of their relationship, namely the manipulation and emotional abuse that kind of led to her giving up a lot of her happiness. This book was so beautifully written. I tabbed so many quotes because the similes and metaphors, just in general, the literary devices used are outstanding. So an example would be, I wanted to dash myself against your rocks like a wave, obliterate my old self, and see what rose shining anew from the sea foam. The only words I had to describe you in those early days were plunging cliffside or primordial sea, crystal cold stars, or a black expanse of sky. Another example, but now all my carefully crafted excuses for you dissolved like sugar under absinthe, revealing a truth I had spent centuries avoiding. Slowly, the noose of your love was loosening around my neck. This book was just so good, like literally cover to cover. Somebody commented on one of my YouTube shorts and said it was good cover to cover, those exact words, and I'm using those exact words because that is the best way to describe this book to me. And there was such an authentic representation of depression in one of the characters. The dynamic between 3 of the characters and their love for each other is so amazing. I don't know if you can tell, but I gave this book 5 stars. I mean, when I first was thinking about it, I was like, I don't know what I would rate this. I know it's over 4, but I couldn't stop thinking about it to the point where when I picked up my next book, I kept thinking about this book, and it was actually hard for me to get into the next book because I love this so much, and I adored the ending. It is exactly what I wanted. I went into this expecting one thing and then got something different, but I loved it. This was so unique. The next book that I read for the 24-hour readathon, and again, all these are TBR jar prompt picks. The prompt was pick an old series that you've never read, and that's going to be The Winner's Curse, and that's Marie Rutzkowski. Did I say that right? This is another unexpected one for me, by the way, but I did have trouble getting into it because I loved A Dowry of Blood so much. This premise is the Harani people have been enslaved by the Valorians since the Haran War. I thought that aspect of this book was so sad because the people who are enslaved are submissive to the Valorians and pretty much only existing to do like their bidding. So this is about Kestrel, and she is the daughter to a powerful Valorian general, and she finds herself in the slave market, and she sees Aaron, who is being auctioned off, and she ends up buying him because she says she sees something in his eyes. Whether she believes she's saving him from somebody worse getting him, it doesn't really say that, but I would like to think that she was trying to do that. Now, of course, there's a subplot of romance between the two, but I felt like this book focused more on the oppression of the Harani people and then the hate the Harani and the Valorians have, the politics, and kind of the war brewing. That is what this book focused on, and that's why I like this book a lot. While the enslavement of a group of people did bother me, what I loved about this book is that group of people is getting together as rebels. There is so much lying, action, betrayal. I'm in between 4.5 and 5, so I think I'm gonna sit it at 4.5 for now, but I really liked this. The last book I ended up reading for my 24-hour readathon, the prompt jar said to give an author you haven't vibed with a second chance, and that is Ali Hazelwood, so I ended up reading Love on the Brain. I was gonna do a Fading to Blood, but I was so tired that I was like, I'm not gonna be able to comprehend what's going on here. So this is about Bea and Levi, and she thinks Levi hates her because he was standoffish to her in grad school. Come to find out, years later, she is co-leading a project at NASA with him. I was not sold on Ali Hazelwood's debut, The Love Hypothesis, but when I started reading this one, I was like smiling and laughing, and I like the writing, so I was very hopeful for this one. The setting is at NASA, which I really loved, and it focuses on neuroscience, and each chapter is like a little blurb about the brain, for example, which I really thought was cool because I've always actually been pretty fascinated with neuroscience. So like the vagus nerve is this chapter, and it says blackout, and I thought that was so cool and so unique. Last night I was so tired and I wasn't exactly sure where I stood with this book, and I'm not sure if I gave it a fair shot because my feelings are sort of similar. I felt just okay. Like, it was okay. It was fine. I felt like a lot of the plot points were pretty similar. There was some subplot points that were different than The Love Hypothesis, but I felt like it was pretty similar. The one thing that I think that this book has that puts it above The Love Hypothesis is the male main character. I felt like he was more interesting, whereas Adam Carlson made me want to fall asleep. I was falling asleep last night, but not because of him, but because I just was tired. I didn't love the FMC. Like, she was fine most of the time, but sometimes she definitely got on my nerves. I thought the book was cute. The writing is good. The women in STEM is really interesting, but I feel like the overall plot is, again, a repetitive thing that I've read before. But I'm gonna give this one a 3-star. Like I said, it was fine. I don't have any like super strong hate for it. I don't have any super strong love for it. I think that if you like rom-coms, it's got lots of cringe in it too. There's cringe, not lots, but there's definitely cringe in here, you know, like rom-com, classic rom-com cringe. If you like that, you'll like this. If you like The Love Hypothesis, then you'll like this. The Love Hypothesis was, again, a fine book, but the reason I gave that one a 2-star was because I was really bored, where I didn't really feel bored in this one. It just felt like, oh, I've read this before, but maybe it's a little bit more interesting spin, I guess. But that's really all I have to say about that. So there is my September reading wrap up with a little bit of a 24-hour readathon mashup because I was trying to read all 7 of my TBR jar prompt picks, but I read 5, which I think is still pretty successful. But if it wasn't for that 24-hour readathon, it wouldn't have been this successful. So I'm really glad that I did it, even though I'm so tired and ready to go back to sleep. But thank you so much for watching. I love doing these videos. I love reading. I love talking about things that I'm passionate about, and I enjoy all the conversations I've been having with the book community. It's been like the best time of my life. So I will see you next Sunday. Thank you so much for supporting my small channel and tuning in. And like I said, having conversations with me. I love it. Let's continue to do this together next Sunday. Bye guys.